The slave auction on Kraylor 9. The cold wind of Kraylor 9 blew through the open slave market. The smell of metal, blood, and smoke filled the air. Creatures from many planets stood in rows, watching the auction. Some laughed, some pointed. All of them were here to buy. At the center of the stage, a tall alien man with gray skin raised his voice. "Next, this one's weak, a waste of space." He kicked a cage with his boot. From inside the cage, a soft sound came, like a cry trying to stay quiet. The crowd leaned closer. 2 guards dragged out a woman. She was thin. Her body was shaking. Her skin was dirty, scratched and bruised. Chains were around her ankles and wrists. Her dress was torn. Her black and purple hair hung in messy knots, and her long alien ears drooped low. She could barely stand. "Name, Ilani," the auctioneer said. "Age, unknown. Breed, mixed race. Womb intact. Speech chip broken." The crowd didn't cheer. One buyer yelled, "What use is that?" Another shouted, "She can't even speak." Laughter followed, but Ilani only looked down at her feet. Her lips trembled. She tried not to cry. Then a third alien, drunk, laughed and said, "I'll take her for 10 credits. I'll train her to crawl." But before the auctioneer could agree, a voice came from the back. "I'll pay 20, said a human man. The crowd turned. A human? Here? He wore a long coat covered in dust. His face was calm, his eyes sharp but quiet. He didn't look rich, just tired. The auctioneer blinked. 20? For her? The man nodded. Now? The guards looked confused. They shoved Ilani forward. She fell to her knees. Her breath came out in quick gasps. She looked up, scared. "Please," she whispered. Her voice was weak, barely a whisper in her broken translator. "Don't hurt me. I'll give you children, strong ones. Just don't break me." The man said nothing. He placed the credits on the table. "She's mine now." "Your funeral," one trader said, laughing. Ilani was pulled off the stage. She couldn't walk. Her knees were bleeding. The human man stepped forward and gently picked her up in his arms. She flinched, expecting pain, but none came. He carried her through the crowd. Whispers followed them. "She's not worth it," someone hissed. "She's cursed," another said, but the human kept walking, silent. He took her to a small camp near the market's edge. It wasn't much, just a tent, a heater, and a soft sleeping pad. He placed her down gently. She stared at him like he was a ghost. He removed her chains one by one. She gasped. "No chains?" she asked, her voice dry. "You're free here," the man said. "No one will hurt you." Ilani stared. She didn't believe him. He gave her water. She drank like she hadn't tasted it in days. Then he gave her a blanket. She hugged it tight, her eyes wide. "Sleep," he said. "You're safe tonight." She shook her head. "Safe? With a man?" He didn't reply. He just sat down by the door and looked out at the stars. Ilani watched him for a long time. He didn't touch her, didn't stare, didn't smile. He just guarded the tent in silence. She wrapped the blanket tighter. Her body still trembled, but her eyes began to close. And for the first time in many weeks, she slept. Not with fear, but with hope. Ilani woke slowly. For a moment, she didn't know where she was. Her body expected chains. Her mind expected pain. But all she felt was warmth. She was still wrapped in the soft blanket. A small heater glowed beside her. The tent around her was quiet. She looked around, heart racing. Was this a dream? Then she saw him. The human. He was sitting outside the tent entrance, silent, still, watching the market from a distance. Ilani slowly sat up. Every part of her ached. Her ribs hurt. Her arms felt weak. But she was alive. Safe. She touched her throat. Her voice chip was broken. Her real voice sounded cracked and raw. "Why?" she whispered. "Why did you buy me?" The man turned, surprised to hear her voice. "You're awake," he said calmly. He stepped inside the tent and placed a bowl of food on the ground. Simple broth. Warm. Ilani flinched, but he didn't force her to eat. He stepped back. She looked at the food. Her stomach growled. Carefully, she picked it up with trembling hands. She ate slowly, watching him the whole time. "You didn't answer." "Me," she said, her voice soft. "Why me? You could have bought someone better." He looked at her, then sat down across from her on the floor. "I didn't buy you," he said. "I rescued you." Ilani blinked. "What's the difference?" The man sighed. "You're not mine. I don't own you. You were being treated like an object. I couldn't watch it." "No one ever cared before," she whispered. "I did," he said. She looked down. Her eyes burned. "They laughed at me, called me dirty, useless, said I was worth less than a broken tool." "You're not." She bit her lip. Her fingers clutched the blanket tighter. "You still haven't told me your name." He gave a small nod. "Nathan." Ilani tried to say her name, but her throat tightened. She coughed. He quickly passed her a cup of water. "Easy," he said. "I'm Ilani," she said at last. Nathan nodded. "Nice to meet you, Ilani." She stared at him like he was strange. "No one's ever said that to me." There was silence between them. Nathan stood and pulled something from a small bag, a small device with wires. "What is that?" she asked. "Translator repair kit," he said. "I noticed your chip is damaged. You're switching between native, speech, and basic. I thought I'd try fixing it." "You can do that?" she asked, surprised. "I used to be a field medic," he said. "I learned a little bit of everything." She looked away. "Even how to fix broken aliens." Nathan's voice was gentle. "I try." Later that night, Ilani sat near the heater, holding the blanket tight around her. Nathan worked silently, fixing the chip. His tools moved carefully. He didn't rush. She watched him closely. "Do you help all broken things you find?" she asked. "No," he said. "Only the ones that want to be whole again." Ilani was quiet for a long time. "What if I don't know how to be whole?" Nathan looked up. "Then we start with food, warmth, and sleep." She laughed weakly. It was the first sound of joy she'd made in years. "Start small, huh?" "Always," Nathan said. She looked down at her hands. The scars, the burns, the marks from collars and cuffs. "I used to dream," she whispered, "of flying ships, singing songs, and having children who were safe, not broken like me." "Why? Did you stop dreaming?" Nathan asked. "They took everything," she said. "My voice, my name, my right to be a woman." Nathan didn't say anything. He simply listened. Eleni's voice trembled. "When I offered to give you strong children, it was all I had left. I thought it was the only way to live." Nathan shook his head slowly. "That's not living, that's surviving." She blinked at him. Her eyes filled with tears. "Then what is living?" "Living is choosing," he said. "Living is having a name and hope and a future that belongs to you." Ilani looked at him, really looked, not like a buyer, not like a master, like a human, like a man. And for the first time, she felt something new, not fear, not shame, but safety. The night was quiet. A soft wind brushed the sides of the tent. Ilani sat alone near the heater, holding a cloth in her hands. Nathan had gone out to find supplies. He trusted her enough to leave her there, alone. That trust felt heavier than any chain. She looked around the tent. It was small but clean. Everything had its place. His bedroll was still unrolled from the night before. He'd given her the warmer blanket. She hadn't asked for it. He just did it. Her fingers gripped the cloth tighter. She wanted to clean herself. Slowly, she stood. Her legs still shook a little, but she didn't fall. She moved toward the basin of warm water Nathan had left behind. A small mirror stood propped against the wall. She hadn't seen her face in weeks. When she looked into the mirror, she gasped. Her eyes were sunken. Her lips cracked. Dirt and dried blood marked her skin. And behind the mess, she saw the faint shimmer of the tattoos from her tribe. Almost forgotten. She touched her cheek. Who am I now? She removed the torn outer layer of clothing. Her reflection showed the truth. The scars on her back. The bruises on her arms. A long, deep mark across her side, old but still red. She had stopped counting the wounds long ago. But tonight something felt different. She dipped the cloth in water and began to gently wash herself. Each wipe felt like peeling away old pain. The water turned brown. She worked in silence until she heard the flap of the tent move. She froze. Nathan had returned. He stopped when he saw her, half covered, her back turned, cloth in hand. He immediately looked away and turned his back. "I'm sorry," he said quickly. "I didn't mean to." "It's okay," Ilani said softly. "I didn't lock the flap. That's on me." Nathan still didn't turn around. He kept his eyes on the ground. She continued cleaning slowly, not hiding, not rushing. "You know," she said, "you're the first man who ever looked away." He didn't answer. "You're strange, Nathan," she said. "Most people only see me as a thing. You act like I matter." "You do," he replied simply. She wrapped the clean cloth around her and sat down. "Why?" Nathan finally turned around. His eyes met hers, but he looked only at her face. "Because no one deserves to be treated like you were." Ilani looked down. Her clean fingers shook slightly. "Do you think scars make someone ugly?" she asked. "No," he said. "I think scars show survival. Even the ones inside?" Nathan sat down, not too close. "Especially those." Ilani looked up. Her eyes were tired, but something new shone in them. Not hope. Not yet. But maybe the beginning of it. "I haven't felt like a person in a long time," she whispered. "When I was captured, they used to say I'd never be loved again, never be a mother, never be free. They called me Product 672, that was my name." Nathan frowned. "That's not a name. That's a number." She nodded. "So I stopped dreaming. I stopped thinking I was more than just something to be owned." She pulled the cloth closer around her. Nathan was quiet, letting her speak. "I was once a healer," she said softly. "My tribe had a garden that stretched under crystal skies. I sang to the sick, and my touch could calm even the restless." "What happened?" he asked. "They came during the second invasion. Burned our homes. Took anyone who looked young enough to sell. The rest?" Her voice cracked. "They burned everything." Nathan clenched his hands. "You don't have to tell me more," he said. "No, I want to. I want someone to know who I was. I'm tired of being just the broken girl in chains." He looked at her again. "Then tell me your story, Ilani. Not as a slave, but as you." She smiled, a small, fragile thing. "All right," she whispered. "But next time I want to hear yours too." He nodded. "Deal." That night, as she lay on her side, wrapped in clean cloth, Ilani touched the tattoo on her wrist. It was faded but still there. Her name. Her real name. She whispered it softly. Not in fear, not in shame, but as a promise. She was more than what they did to her, and she was starting to believe it. Morning light broke through the thin fabric of the tent. Ilani was already awake, sitting near the heater with a quiet, thoughtful look. Her skin was cleaner now. The bruises had faded slightly, but something else had changed too. She no longer curled up like prey. Nathan stepped in with a small bag of supplies. You're up early, he said. I couldn't sleep, Ilani replied. I kept thinking, I feel free here, but am I really? Nathan frowned. What do you mean? She looked at her hands. Legally, I'm still property. You had to buy me. You own a contract, don't you? Nathan hesitated. Yes, he admitted. It's written by Kraylor law. You're registered to me, but only on paper. Paper can become chains, she said softly. He sat down. I never wanted to own anyone. I know, she said. That's what makes this harder. Before he could speak again, a sharp beep came from outside. Someone was approaching. Nathan stepped out. 2 armored aliens stood near the tent, holding a glowing tablet. Human, the taller one said. Inspection. What kind of inspection? Nathan asked. Slave ownership review, the alien replied. Rumor says you overpaid for damaged goods. We're checking your contract. Nathan didn't blink. She's not for sale. Doesn't matter, the officer said. If the slave shows signs of disobedience, mental damage, or romantic interaction with an owner, she can be reclaimed by the trade guild. Nathan's jaw tightened. She's not a slave. The second officer chuckled. Then why did you sign the contract? Ilani stepped forward. Her voice, though quiet, was steady. Because I was about to be bought by someone worse. Both aliens turned to her, surprised. The slave speaks? I have a name, she said. Ilani. One officer looked at the other. That's not the name on record. No, she said. Because your records treat us like numbers. Nathan stepped forward. Enough. What do you want? Simple, the tall one said. We observe her behavior for 48 hours. If she appears too free, we revoke your ownership and she returns to the guild. Back to the pens? Ilani whispered. Yes, he said. Unless you two act like the contract says. Nathan's eyes narrowed. So we have to pretend she's my slave? Exactly. That night, silence filled the tent. Ilani sat on one side, Nathan on the other. Neither of them touched their food. I could act broken, Ilani said. I've done it before. Nathan shook his head. No. You just started healing. I won't undo that. What choice do we have? He looked at the small paper contract near his bag. It had his name and hers, a price, a seal. I can rewrite it, he said suddenly. She looked up. What? I can sign a transfer of ownership to you, he explained. Make it so you legally belong to yourself. They won't allow that. They might, Nathan said. If we trick the system the same way they tricked us. Ilani stared. You'd give up your power like that? I never wanted it, he replied. She smiled. Then her smile faded. But what if that doesn't work? What if they tear it up? What if they take me back anyway? Nathan stood. Then I fight. You'd fight the trade guild? She asked. Wide-eyed. I'd fight anyone who tries to chain you again. Tears welled in her eyes. No one had ever said that to her. She walked toward him and held out the contract. Burn it, she whispered. Even if it changes nothing. I want to see. It turned to ash. Nathan lit a small flame. The paper caught quickly. Black edges curled. Words vanished into smoke. Ilani watched every second, and for the first time since she was taken, she smiled with strength. I'm still here, she whispered. And I'm not yours. Nathan nodded. No, but if you want, I'd be honored to be yours. She blinked. What does that mean? He grinned slightly. It means you can choose. Stay or go. Friend or more. Your life. Your say. She looked at the ashes. Then at him. I think I'll stay. For now. The stars above the Kraylor sky flickered like cold eyes watching from afar. Ilani stood outside the tent, breathing the sharp night air. Her skin felt cleaner. Her heart, still unsure. But something inside her had shifted. She was no longer just surviving. She was learning how to live. Inside the tent, Nathan was repairing an old comlink. He had found it buried under some junk at the market, and Ilani was trying to understand the tiny wires and tools he used. Learning helped her forget, until a voice shattered her peace. Ilani. She froze. That voice, her knees nearly gave out. She turned around slowly, and her blood turned to ice. There, only steps away, stood Commander Brackus. His armor gleamed in, the moonlight dark red and cruelly familiar. One eye was replaced by a blinking metal lens. His lip curled as he stared at her like a hunter seeing his favorite prey again. "I've found you," he growled. Nathan stepped outside, immediately sensing danger. He saw the tall alien soldier, then looked at Ilani's pale face. "Who is he?" Nathan asked calmly. She didn't answer. Her throat closed. Her body shook. Brackus laughed. "You didn't tell him, did you? That I owned you first? That you were my personal project?" Nathan moved in front of Ilani. "Leave," he said coldly. Brackus smirked. "She's still property under guild law. You burned your contract? That's illegal. She belongs to the guild and I'm still a registered buyer." "No," Ilani finally said, her voice trembling. "I am not your property." Brackus ignored her. "Step aside, human. You don't want to fight with me." Nathan didn't move. "I do," Brackus growled. "You don't understand. I can bring 20 enforcers here within the hour. The moment I call them, she's back in the pens." "She'll die before she goes back," Nathan said. "She will beg to come back when I'm done," Brackus sneered. Nathan didn't blink. His voice was quiet, but sharp. "Try." For a long moment, no one moved. Then Brackus turned to Ilani. "I gave you a chance to be valuable," he hissed. "Now you're just a traitor." He tapped his comm. "I'll return, and when I do, you won't have a choice." He walked off into the dark. Ilani sank to her knees. "I thought he was dead," she whispered. Nathan knelt beside her. "Who is he?" She looked at him, tears building in her eyes. "He was the first one who ever put chains on me. The one who told me I was just a thing. He trained me to obey. With pain, with fear, with silence." Nathan reached out, gently resting a hand on her shoulder. "You never have to go back to him," he said. "But I'm still listed as trade property," she said. "He's right. If he files a report, the guild will come for me." "Then we don't wait," Nathan said. "We leave tonight." "Where would we go?" "Anywhere," he replied. "There are human colonies beyond the border. No trade guild. No slavery. Only freedom." Ilani hesitated. She looked toward the stars again. "I don't know if I'm strong enough." "You are," Nathan said. "You don't have to prove anything to anyone. You just have to take the first step." She looked at him. The fear in her chest was heavy, but the warmth in his voice, gentle, firm, real, gave her the strength to breathe. "I won't let him take me again," she said. "Then pack what you need," he told her. We move before dawn. Later that night, as they prepared to leave, Ilani found an old piece of cloth in Nathan's bag. It had once been part of her slave collar, burnt, twisted, still holding the number 672. She stared at it for a long time, then she threw it into the fire. She watched it burn, slowly, completely. This time she wasn't crying. This time she was ready. The forest outside Kraylor 9 was dark and quiet, broken only by the soft hum of Nathan's small hovercart. He and Ilani had traveled through the night, avoiding patrol lights and drone eyes. They moved slowly, carefully, always listening. By morning they found an old outpost, half buried in vines and dust. It hadn't been used in years. Nathan checked the air filter, still working. He nodded. "We'll rest here," he said. Ilani stepped inside. The place smelled like metal and moss, but it had a roof, a door, and silence. She sat on the floor, wrapping her arms around her knees. Nathan began unpacking their supplies. "You hungry?" "No," she said softly. "Not yet." He didn't press her. He just handed her a small heater stone and a flask of clean water. She accepted it and sat quietly for a long time. Then she looked up. "Nathan." He turned to her. "I want to stay," she said, her voice slow and clear. "But not as a slave. Not as someone who owes you her life. I want to stay as myself." Nathan smiled gently. "You already are." She shook her head. "You don't understand. Every kindness I've known before came with a price. A man gives food, and then he demands my body, a place to sleep, and then he locks the door. I need to know that with you. It's different." Nathan sat across from her. "I've never asked you for anything. That's the problem," she said. "I keep waiting for the moment you do." He sighed. "Then I should tell you something." Ilani tensed slightly. Nathan looked at her, serious but kind. "I don't want you as a slave. I don't want to own you. I don't even need you to stay." Her brows furrowed. "What do you mean?" "I want you to choose to stay," he said. "Not out of fear, not out of debt, just because you want to." Ilani blinked. "And if I walked away?" she asked. "I'd be sad," he admitted. "But I'd let you go, and I'd still be proud of you." She looked down at her hands. Her scars didn't scare him. Her past didn't shame him. And he wasn't trying to fix her like a broken machine. "Just listen. You confuse me, Nathan." "How?" "You make me feel like I'm not a burden." "You're not," he said. "You're a survivor." She smiled a little, not a weak one, a small, strong smile, the kind that says, "I'm still standing." She stood up slowly. "I want to help," she said. He tilted his head. "Help with what?" "Build, repair, cook, learn. I want to do something. I don't want to be someone you rescued. I want to be someone useful." Nathan nodded. "Then let's start with the power lines." They worked all day. Ilani rewired an old panel. She scrubbed a sink clean. She helped set up a shield grid around the shelter. When the sun went down, the lights inside flickered back to life, thanks to her. Nathan clapped his hands once. "Not bad," Ilani grinned. "I'm more than just a pretty face, you know." He raised an eyebrow. "That's news to me." They both laughed, and for the first time, it didn't feel strange. It felt real. That night, Ilani stood outside, the outpost, staring up at the stars. Nathan joined her, handing her a warm drink. "I've been thinking," she said. "Dangerous," he teased. She smiled. "I used to dream of having children one day, strong, kind, free. But those dreams faded. They don't have to stay gone," Nathan said. She looked at him. "If I ever have a child, I want them to know this version of me. Not the broken one, not the one in chains, the one who chooses her own path." He nodded. "Then let that be your story now." She reached out and took his hand, not because she had to, but because she wanted to. "I'll stay," she said, her voice firm. "But not as a slave, not as a debt. I stay as Ilani." He didn't say anything. He just held her hand a little tighter, and the stars above witnessed the quiet beginning of something powerful. Not control, not ownership, but freedom, wrapped in kindness. The wind was colder that night. Nathan stood outside the small outpost, staring toward the distant hills. His hand rested on the blaster at his side, not drawn, just ready. He had felt it in his bones all day. Something was coming. Inside, Ilani was folding clean cloths, her hands steady but her eyes nervous. She too could feel the change in the air. They had only been free for a few days, but it felt like a different life. She had begun laughing again, eating without fear, sleeping without chains. But some ghosts never stopped chasing, and Brackus was a ghost that did not die quietly. A low rumble shook the ground. Nathan's eyes narrowed. A small ship was landing, just beyond the trees. He stepped back into the outpost. "They found us," he said. Eleni didn't flinch. "Break us?" He nodded. She stood and walked to the door. Nathan stopped her. "You don't have to face him, I'll handle it." But she looked him in the eye and said, "No, we'll handle it. Together." The Trade Guild shuttle landed with a loud hiss. From it stepped Brachus, fully armored, surrounded by 3 enforcer droids. His red eye blinked coldly as he saw the outpost ahead. Nathan and Eleni stood side by side, blocking the entrance. "You've got nerve," Brachus growled. "Running from the guild, burning contracts, harboring stolen property." "She is not property," Nathan said. "She's mine by law." Brachus barked. Eleni stepped forward. "I was never yours," she said. "Not truly. You owned my body, yes, but never my heart, never my mind. You never broke me." Brachus laughed, darkly. "You were begging at my feet." "I was surviving," she said. "There's a difference." Brachus raised a hand. "Last chance, step aside, human, or I take you too." Nathan reached for his blaster. "Try." Before anyone could move, Eleni lifted her hand. "I invoke Star Law," she said. Brachus paused. "What?" Nathan looked, surprised too. "I am of the Lasari people," she said clearly. "We are recognized by galactic treaty, and under that treaty, no one, human or alien, may own a member of my tribe without trial. You skipped that trial." Brachus blinked. "That law is buried, but not erased," Nathan added. "I checked last night." Eleni continued, her voice rising. "I claim asylum. I claim freedom. I claim my name." The droids hesitated. Even Brachus looked unsure. "You remember your clan?" he asked. She nodded. "Eleni of the Sky Garden, daughter of Sarai, healer of the inner flame." Brachus sneered. "Then burn." He raised his blaster. But Eleni didn't move, and Nathan fired first. A warning shot hit the ground near Brachus's foot. The droids read the signal and turned to defensive mode, but paused when Eleni stepped between them. "Take another step," she warned, "and the galaxy will know what you did." A human and a free woman under treaty law, hunted by a commander who lost control. Brachus lowered his weapon slowly. "You think you've won?" Eleni met his eyes. "I know I have." He stared at her, and for the first time he saw it. Not the girl he had chained, but a woman who had stood up. A woman no longer afraid. He turned away, growling. "You'll regret this." "Not as much as you will," Nathan said. Brachus and his team disappeared into the trees. The shuttle rose into the air and vanished. Silence fell. Eleni stood still for a long time. Her body trembled, but not from fear, from power, from freedom. That night, she and Nathan sat under the open stars. She rested her head on his shoulder. "Today," she whispered, "I said my name and no one took it from me." Nathan smiled. "You didn't just speak it, you owned it." She looked up at him. "Do you remember what I said, back at the market?" He nodded. "You offered to give me strong children, if I didn't hurt you." She smiled softly. "I didn't know what I was saying then. I was desperate, afraid. You don't have to explain, but I want to," she said. "Because now I understand what strength really means. And if I ever do choose to give you children, it will be from love, not fear." Nathan looked at her gently. "I would be honored." They sat in silence as the stars blinked above them, like 1,000 tiny witnesses to their truth. No chains, no contracts, just 2 people, free and building a new future, one quiet, brave night at a time.